woof.
Do you know those are the first 3 words that he ever had said on camera?
Those are?
Yeah, and they were not in any kind of script of any kind at all.
Captain Ad-lib right there. Takes a lot of balls if those are the first 3 words he ever said on camera and you just ad-lib it right from the start.
Yeah, he said that he thought about his brother. His older brother was the coolest guy he knew. And his older brother always had a cool car, some great music, and some really good weed. And when they said, okay, we're going to have you do this, so we want you to just be the character that you're going to be in the show, which this part was written in for him. It wasn't even in the movie. He had met the guy that was directing it. And he said, in the show, he was picking up this hot chick. He was driving this cool car and whatever. And he said, the guy said something, and he just looked at him and said, all right, all right, all right. And he was thinking about his brother. He said, if you haven't read or listened to the book Green Lights, you probably haven't taken my other book selections, but that's a really good one too.
All right, all right, all right. We're not for everybody, Brad.
True.
So, it is what it is. But we are for you. Hey there. Welcome to Real Estate Makes Us Drink. Brian Quinlan from Daniels Real Estate.
Brad Nickham, Nest Mortgage Group.
Hey, Brad.
How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you.
What tequila mix do you have today?
Today is a Tennessee moonshine, and it's called Agavesaurus Rex.
I love that.
Yeah, it is a cane neutral spirit, like tequila, right? So it has its own flavor. My son, who lives in Sevierville, Tennessee, works at Dollywood. All my kids know I like alcohol for Christmas, so he bought me this for Christmas. So easy to shop for. Yeah, it's like, oh, excuse me, alcohol, Dad. So it's actually very good. It has a very, I don't know, you can describe the flavor when we do a shot of it.
Oh, boy.
Because you haven't tasted that, have you?
I don't believe I have.
No, you will today.
But it's tequila.
No, it's a cane. It's
moonshine.
It is a cane neutral spirit.
Okay.
I don't even know what that means. Because they're not allowed to call something tequila if it's not made in the region.
Right.
And the region is not Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
It is not.
So they call those usually agave spirits. So this is a cane neutral, which I guess they're saying it doesn't have a rum taste. And it's mixed with tequila.
But you truly don't know what cane neutral means.
Don't know.
There is a chance that somebody watching this knows what cane neutral.
Out of the 9 people that watch this on a regular basis.
9 have subscribed.
Oh, well,
we're growing. I mean,
we may have tens of people watching.
Right. So if you're one of those watching and you know what that means, feel free to leave a comment because we appreciate comments.
I could Google it during the show and know by the time.
No. Yeah. It's fine. We want the people to participate. It's called social media for a reason. Be social.
Your Googling is my only superpower. I'm really good at it.
I think you have other superpowers.
Nope, just Googling.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
I have a friend, Josh. He said his superpower is looking at your Facebook profile picture and knowing if he will like you or not.
Oh.
That's pretty strong superpower.
Do I follow that, Josh?
You do. Yes, you do.
Okay.
Josh Dilmagani.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's hilarious.
I like his social media stuff.
Yeah, he's amazing.
All right. I don't know if he likes me, but
I'm sure
he's commented on at least one of my posts.
And if he watches this, he'll love it because Josh likes our kind of comedy.
Excellent. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
It's mid-January. We're past Martin Luther King Day at this point. It's still hella cold outside, and we have potential snow coming in the next couple of days. And on the horizon in January into February in Indianapolis, it's chilly.
You're getting warm next week. 50 some degrees by next Thursday or Friday.
Absolutely take it.
Winter's over. El Nino,
it's over?
It's an El Nino year, yeah. So strong El Nino means we don't get much precipitation. Our temperatures are above normal. And if you look at December, we were above normal the entire month of December. Both, not just the highs, but the highs and the lows were above normal. And we've had a little cold snap here, which has been, I'm going to say, extremely frigid.
For real. Single-digit temperatures, wind chills throwing us below zero.
Yeah.
That's cold.
And it's going to be cold on Saturday morning, like 2.
Yeah.
But then, again, by Thursday, I think it's 50, 54, 53. But they said southern Indiana could actually get into the 60s.
What?
Oh.
Okay.
Then that's how you tell Midwesterners are warm, because there's 60 in there in the shorts, you know. That's how when you go on spring break to Florida, you can always tell when the Midwesterners are the fat, really pale people in shorts on the beach when it's 60 degrees.
Right. Yep. They're just happy that it's, above 40, I think.
Yeah.
So
you look like a local guy because you're not fat. They wouldn't know.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm perfect weight for your height.
And to be honest, for my height, I'm actually overweight. But I'm very stretched out, slender.
Yeah.
So I give kind of the wrong appearance that I'm.
That BMI chart says I'm supposed to weigh 125 pounds. That's what I weighed when I graduated from high school.
Oh my!
And I got down to 150 several years ago, and people kept going, "Are you sick?" And I'm like, "I'm sick of fat people asking me that question." But it's too little, and that's I couldn't weigh 100. We're not
How tall are you?
5'9".
Right.
Without wearing heels.
Okay.
If I wore Joe Pesci's shoes, I'd be 6 foot.
Well, so be it.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot without shoes.
Yeah, bragger. Yeah. So that I my friend Dave Gooden, he owns a landscape company here in town, Gooden Ground Maintenance.
Hi, Dave.
Big commercial landscaper. And back when I was in the snow business, even though we were competitors in a lot of areas, we would talk weather forecasting. And he's pretty good at forecasting. And I used to read all those models. And I don't anymore. I don't look at any of that anymore. I just look at Dave's Facebook page and say, what's Dave think it's going to do? And he's usually right. So he thinks a couple inches of snow tonight. And he said that we wouldn't get any this morning. The news said we'd get some this morning, but it missed us.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're headed to Cabo.
I am, yeah.
And
Saturday.
What's the weather like down there right now?
Beautiful. It's always
year round, right?
Yeah, it's year round. It's at the very bottom of the Baja.
Okay.
Right, the California Baja. So you're more than 1,000 miles south of San Diego.
Okay.
Actually, you're more than 1,000 miles south of Ensenada, Mexico, which is a little jog down south of Tijuana.
More than 1,000 miles is not a jog.
No. 1,000 miles. Ensenada is just a jog down from Tijuana. You're not going anywhere?
I don't currently have anything lined up, travel-wise. My wife gets some sort of email list that she's on that will throw out last-minute travel deals and whatnot. And for years, she's gotten those, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we could fly to France for $300 round trip." But it was never,
Then you'd be in France
with a job that I used to have as a teacher, or kids in school, whatever it would be. It just really wasn't feasible for us to just drop everything and go.
Right.
And those deals were always you have a month basically to travel or something like that. So I said, you know what we're gonna do this year? We're gonna wait. If something cool comes up, we're just maybe just gonna go. So we shall see what's coming about.
What you're saying is real estate makes us drink, but real estate also makes us travel.
Makes us travel.
Or lets us travel.
That's correct. Yeah, that is a definite perk to the job.
Huge benefit.
And that's actually one of the reasons that I appreciate the real estate team that I'm on, because there are realtors who do it solo, and they will oftentimes lament on how they don't really get a vacation. Even when they're on vacation, they're working. And I have the luxury of being able to go on vacation, still be in contact with my clients, don't get me wrong, but if something comes up where they want to go look at a house, or they have a question about, an offer or whatever, I have a team of people that I can rely on to help me with that kind of stuff and allow me to relax on my vacation, and vice versa. I do the same for them.
No, I don't.
But you love working.
I do.
You have said in past episodes that
I'd rather work than
absolutely, and so I'm not that way, and not that I don't really enjoy what I do. Don't get me wrong, but I it doesn't consume my life to the point where I can't go on vacation without just kind of letting go.
No, I think when they're getting ready to drop me in the casket, I'm going to be bummed if I miss a call. Like I don't like. I'm not a vacation. Go sit by the pool and undo my brain because I'm a business owner, so I have to be concerned that my employees are still getting paid and there's still volume coming in the door. And I like what I do. You're right. And
my vacation preference is honestly not to go somewhere where we just sit around. Thankfully, my wife is an adventure, go do stuff kind of person, though she could definitely be a sit on the beach all day kind of person.
Sure.
She knows that doesn't really interest me. I get bored with that very quickly. I don't care for the sea life in the ocean. So
I like to eat it.
Right. When I go into the ocean, and I'll go out there, I'm usually maybe waist deep. My wife,
which is 30 feet beyond where I'm at.
Right. So my wife could go into the ocean without a float and float out into the middle of the ocean and be perfectly fine with that. There are many times she has been floating in the ocean and I see her, she's 100 yards offshore, and I'm like, Stephanie, come back. She has no idea. She just gets relaxed and she floats, and she doesn't care that there are animals swimming around her. And if a shark were to come up to her, she'd be its friend.
Yeah, I mean, your chances of getting bit by a shark
very low.
You have a better chance of getting killed in a car wreck on the way to the beach.
Sure.
So I don't mind the ocean because I figure there can't be that much pee in it compared to the pool.
Actually, there's probably more because the animals, that's their bathroom.
Animal pee is, I think, different.
Is it?
Right. I mean, I've never got out of the pool, out of the ocean, and went, "Oh, it smells like whale pee." Or maybe that's what the ocean smell is. I don't know.
That's it.
And
I think it's salt.
There's a lot of water. It's normally fresh. The fish.
The ocean is fresh water, believe it or not.
It's just all the fish pee.
That's correct. Turns to salt.
Wow, this is a dumb part of our podcast.
You had mentioned something when I came in that there was going to be a shot. Someone had said that they liked our new tradition of doing a shot on the episode. So
bring off a shot.
Here we go.
Josh Veldman.
Oh, different Josh. Okay.
He's a loan officer of mine that works in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He runs our Grand Rapids office.
Shout out Grand Rapids.
Josh. He's seen us do this part of the podcast, and he texted me a picture of a screenshot of the podcast where he stopped it, where you were getting the shot. And he's like, "I think Brian's going to kill you." And I said to him, I assured him, no, he wanted to do it too. So
I'm game.
tequila. Agavesaurus rex. You never smell what you're going to drink.
I already did.
You're not supposed to. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Okay.
Yeah. That's a little burn at the end.
A little bit, yeah. It takes a few seconds for that to get there, but it's there. I think I like last time's better. One of the things that I asked you to think about, and because I didn't want to do it live here on the show, was because there are people who are outside of Indianapolis who might be watching this, and this is a kind of a good way to sort of introduce them.
Like Mooresville?
Right. Or maybe outside of Indiana, even, because you did shout out, Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
So I wanted you to come up with your top 5 list of things that people should know about Indianapolis. And that it was very generic.
Yeah,
by design.
I don't know if I put like what my top 5. I've put top 5 things that people should know about Indianapolis.
All right, let me rephrase that. Yeah. 5 things people should know about Indianapolis. Maybe not top 5. And I want to preface this by saying completely subjective, because you and I are into different things. We have different priorities, different, thoughts about what's good, bad, whatever. So, this is not a list taken from any type of media that we may have read. Like, I'm not reading off a list of things from the Indianapolis Star.
No, these are from my brain.
This is just All right, so we're gonna go.
But I think you're going to agree with all of mine.
Okay. All right. Well, what's number one on your list?
Well, I didn't put it in order.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm going to tell you which one on here I think
whatever
is
you want to
one
start
of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Okay.
The Indianapolis 500 as a race, the month of May. Pretty exciting.
Is this all still one
Still
thing on your
thing,
list?
yeah.
Okay.
The Brickyard 400. I mean, that's another huge event that we put on. Indianapolis is known for putting on really fantastic sporting events, from the 500, the Brickyard, the NRHA drags, NRHA nationals. That's not
NHRA.
NHRA. Isn't that
National
what I said?
Hot Rod, and then you said NRHA.
I'm dyslexic.
National Rod.
That's
Hot.
a fact too. Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing event at Lucas Raceway Park.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Raceway.
Yeah. Used to be.
I almost said O'Reilly.
Yeah, they've changed it. Yeah. Lucas. It's all Lucas. Everything's our friend Forrest Lucas.
That's right.
He does it all.
I'm sure he's watching. Hi, Forrest.
Hi, Forrest. I haven't seen you in a long time. My son raced for the Lucases. So
diggity.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I think the racing part of Indianapolis, and actually coming here and seeing it, whether you're a race fan or not, if you've never been to the Indianapolis 500 and seen the spectacle that it is, the amount of people, the excitement behind it. One of the things that goosebumps me every time we go is they play taps. Have you ever been to the race?
No. Brickyard, yes.
You go to the Indianapolis 500. You should truly go to the 500 as an event. I've been to a Super Bowl. I've been to NCAA championship. Been to the Kentucky Derby. I sat through 2 innings of a baseball game.
Good times.
But the start of the Indianapolis 500, to have, whatever, that hundreds of thousands of people, they say at least 250,000 people, and they sing Back Home Again in Indiana, and the crowd kind of sings along. It's pretty cool. They do taps, and during taps, you could hear a pin drop in that entire facility of 250,000 loud, crazy, drunk people, and the respect for America that is shown there. And then when they do the national anthem and whatever the flyover is, because it changes each year, it's amazing. And
now, for those of you who don't know, the Indy 500 is on Memorial Day weekend. It is always the Sunday, Memorial Day, so that adds the patriotism aspect to it that I'm not going to say it wouldn't be there otherwise, but I think that certainly adds to it.
I think that adds to it greatly. And just to start, to see, those cars come around to that first turn and go from this really eerie silence from this completely silent facility during taps to not only the roar of the crowd, but those cars coming around that first corner. The rest of it's a party, right? So you either are really into racing and you're got a headset on, or the cars are going around and you're doing whatever. Maybe you're visiting some of the stands that they have inside with the merchants that are there selling stuff, and maybe you went in turn 3 and turn 4 where it's absolutely crazy party, the whole time, and then of course you got suites, right? You got the suites that are really elegant and really awesome to watch the race into. So it's so diverse on how you can see racing there, and it's something that you should go to. It is something that puts the city of Indianapolis on the map worldwide. Like, we can be in Mexico and they go, "Where are you from?" And I say Indianapolis, and they'll go, "Oh, the Pacers are there." Yeah. They say, "Oh, 500."
They used to do it when Peyton Manning played for the Colts. Truthfully,
they knew.
But Indianapolis 500 is worldwide.
Absolutely.
And racing is a big deal in other countries.
Much bigger than America.
Absolutely. And so, those who are racing fans in other countries, when they think of or they hear Indianapolis 500 comes to mind.
Right.
Without a doubt. I almost had your answer as kind of my own answer, but I think it kind of comes together. In my first one is, I believe Indianapolis, and I will say I'm biased because I'm a very sports person, but I believe Indianapolis is a great sports city.
No, I agree with you.
We have professional sports, we have minor league sports, we have college sports. Actually, high school in Indianapolis is a very big deal when it comes to athletics.
I mean, we have the headquarters for the NCAA.
We do, and it wasn't always the case. Moved from Kansas City to here years ago, so we are the home of the NCAA offices, and we have a museum, and it's pretty cool. But I believe that sports in Indianapolis is such a big deal. We host sports, and we are considered, I don't believe this is biased, nationwide, we are considered one of the best sports hosting cities in the country.
Absolutely.
We've hosted the Super Bowl, and honestly, I wish they would go after that again.
They'll never do it again.
And they might not.
They have to build a new stadium.
Well, there you go. The year we hosted the Super Bowl, and oftentimes when you hear people on TV reference the Super Bowl the year it was in Indy back in 2012, 12 years ago now, they say what a great Super Bowl it was, what a great city we are. The week of the Super Bowl was in the 60s.
Yeah.
It could not have been better. Had it been freezing cold like it is now, completely different thought. Now, one of the things about Indianapolis that makes it great for being a sports city is how easy it is to get around, and you don't necessarily have to go outside.
True.
And that was a draw to get the Super Bowl to come here. But we absolutely lucked out in the fact that it was 60 degrees all week.
He calls it lucked out. And I don't know if you know what I did for a living and what I actually did for not only the Indianapolis Super Bowl host committee that was contracted by the city and then also contracted by Populous, Stu Nolan, and Leslie in the NFL was to remove the snow.
Right.
So I helped write those snow removal plans. And if it would have snowed, man, there'd have been some big old chunks of change. And we did have a retainer. And then the other piece of that was we were there for not just that week. We were there for a month before and a month after, because it's literally building a city and tearing down a city.
Yeah.
To put it all together. And we did have some snow events during the month of December and January and a little bit in February afterwards. So some profit was made. I did get to sit on the 10-yard line 30 rows up and watch Tom Brady lose. So that's pretty impressive. But, not only did we put on a great Super Bowl and have an amazing organized plan as a city to make it come off, but several of the friends that I have that were higher up in that program, Jeremiah Shirk, one of them who runs now a production company or an event company in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, Jeremiah. He still works on several host committees that are working to get Super Bowls, and they still today talk about how our Super Bowl in our city was put on better than any, it's one that they peak to. It's one that they say is one of the best ones.
So prior to the Super Bowl, and part of what goes back to my point of being a great sports city is we are known for hosting big sporting events.
Absolutely.
We have hosted the Final Four for years, and it's actually contractually obligated that Indianapolis will host the Final Four every 4 to 6 years. I don't know what the number is, but part of that being the draw to bring NCAA to Indianapolis. But there's that. We hosted the Pan Am Games, and that was so long ago now, but still a worldwide event is the Pan Am Games.
Absolutely.
The Lesser Olympics, basically, was a big deal back in '87. I wasn't living here at the time. We are the host city, essentially, for the Big Ten football championship every year for now.
I think it's for 6 more championships.
That could be, but obviously they're branching out. Bringing in USC and UCLA to the Big Ten is going to make it go broader, of course.
They're still going to end up in Indianapolis.
A lot. I mean, central location for the Big Ten is a very big deal with, large cities like Chicago and
right, because now the Pac-12 is going to be part of the Big Ten.
Well, USC and UCLA coming,
and Oregon
and Washington.
Because they're disbanding for what I understand the Pac-12.
Yeah, so those
you didn't even know I knew what that meant.
That's impressive. Great host city.
Mm-hmm.
We have competitive and sometimes highly competitive sports teams with the Colts, of course, that have been to 2 Super Bowls, one at one time. Peyton Manning, kind of put the Colts on the map, right? I mean, a statue outside of Lucas Oil for a reason. The heart of basketball country is Indianapolis and Indiana, the state in general. But Indianapolis is a great location for sports rivalries with IU and Purdue. It is about halfway between IU and Purdue, and so you have a lot of people who live here who went to one of those 2 colleges, which kind of keeps the rivalry alive.
Yep.
Our natatorium at IUPUI is world class and considered maybe one of, if not the best, swimming venue in the whole country.
Yep.
And so they're actually going to build a swimming pool inside of Lucas Oil Stadium to host the national swimming trials to declare the
They've done it a few years in a row.
Exactly. So, as far as a sports city goes,
we also host the NFL Combine.
I'm sorry, yes, we host the NFL Combine.
And we're hosting, I believe we're hosting like the NBA
All-Star game is coming up next month. Now, that doesn't happen every year. So but the fact that we can do it is a big deal. And there's a whole lot of events coming up next month around the NBA All-Star game. So, when it comes to sports cities, while not necessarily known for winning a lot of championships when it comes to sporting events.
I had Indiana has mediocre sports teams.
That being said, as far as being a host city, we're incredible. You were part of the Super Bowl in 2012. Back in 2021, I was part of the NCAA championship that was here because the NCAA in Indianapolis has a host committee.
Right.
And when the teams come from outside of Indiana or even within Indiana, I suppose. So for basketball, we started a program here as a host city that when teams come and play their NCAA basketball games here at Lucas Oil Stadium or the Fieldhouse or what used to be the Hoosier Dome or whatever it was, there would be 2 people assigned to be hosts for that team the entire time they're here. And it's a volunteer thing, but they're there essentially at the team's beck and call. And I got to be a part of that back in 2021, which was really cool. I got St. Peter's, who upset Kentucky.
Right.
And then upset, I forget who they beat in the second game, but they advanced ultimately to the Elite Eight, which was incredible for St. Peter's. And funny story there that when I was granted St. Peter's, I was like, oh, well, I'll be done
for a day.
I'll be done in night number 1. But my job for that was when they arrived on their plane at the airport, myself and my other co-host were there to greet them as they got off the plane, introduce ourselves, and we then followed them to their hotel and basically just hung out in the hotel lobby. And if they needed us to do anything, go to CVS and get them some medicine, get a coach from the hotel over to the field house for interviews, make sure they knew they were going. We were there for whatever it was. Absolutely. Whatever it is that they needed. Now, the downside to my experience with St. Peter's was their coach had them on lockdown because it was still post-COVID protocol, so he was very nervous. They ate all their meals in the hotel up in a ballroom that they had food catered in. So, I literally didn't do anything. And it's not a guarantee, but I was granted tickets to both games. So I got to go watch 2 great NCAA games, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But we pioneered that. And now other cities who host NCAA games are asked for guidance on that. And it's becoming a bigger thing nationwide thanks to Indianapolis and how well we are respected for hosting big sporting events.
Sure.
And that has grown. And so that's just part of the awesomeness of sporting events that are here in Indianapolis.
Well, I was going to say that Indianapolis has some phenomenal steak restaurants.
Okay.
If you think of great food, a lot of cities have food that they're known for. Like Kansas City has
barbecue,
right? Yep. Nashville has great music.
I thought we were talking about food.
Nashville's barbecue.
Pretty good too.
North Carolina's that's Yicky barbecue to me.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't like the vinegar style barbecue.
What about like Texas barbecue?
Texas barbecue's great.
Okay.
More beef than pork from when we were there. But yeah.
Okay.
But Indianapolis is great steak restaurants. We have Elmo's, which has
absolutely
been here since like the 30s, I believe.
I would ask though, is St. Elmo's known for its steak or is it known for its shrimp cocktail sauce?
Well, there was a big guy in the NFL who loved to eat steak, and his favorite steak anywhere in the entire United States was St. Elmo's. And Madden would make sure that he ate at Elmo's every time they did Monday Night Football here.
I thought you were going with Peyton Manning on that because I know he is well known for.
He's a big steak guy.
He loves St. Elmo's too. But sorry.
But Madden would talk about Elmo's on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And he would even say, like, when they were in another town and they were coming to Indianapolis, he would mention going to Elmo's, right? Because it is a great shrimp cocktail. It's amazing. And they are known for that. But their steak's awesome. But Anthony's Chop House in Carmel. That's a great restaurant. Really high end, amazing service and amazing food. And there's a lot of other ones too.
Harry and Izzy's.
Harry and Izzy's that's owned by the same group that owns Elmo's.
Oh, okay.
They also own 1933, which is in Fishers, because they didn't want to have two Elmos. So 1933 is their other Elmos, and they're opening in 1933 in Carmel as well.
Cool.
There's a Harry and Izzy's, in the Keystone area.
Yep.
They also own the HC Tavern, which is in Fishers in the Yard by 1933. Maybe I'm going to get a sponsorship from Elmo's for mentioning all the restaurants. But I have to say, this will make the Elmo's people mad. The absolute bar none best steakhouse in the city of Indianapolis is called Tony's Steakhouse, downtown Indianapolis.
Okay.
It's phenomenal. Tony's.
I believe you just shot the St. Elmo sponsorship.
I did, but if I get a Tony ones, I'd like that better because Ruben, the general manager there, is amazing. Okay. Hey, Ruben, if you're watching. Tony, my wife Tony and I love going to Tony's. There's only a few of them in the country. Bowling Green, Lexington, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, probably one of the best steakhouses in town. So I'm going to say great places to eat would be another thing that Indianapolis is known for. Primarily steak. Like no one says, they have great seafood or we have great barbecue or great Italian food. We just have great steak.
I thought about going with restaurants because I do read articles and hear people talk about the great restaurant scene. But to be honest, I'm not a foodie by any means. And
that's why you're skinny. That's why I'm fat.
Right. And so, and when I do go out to restaurants, I often order very similar items at any restaurant that I go to.
Like French fries and nuggets? I picture you as a chicken finger.
No, I am not that kind of person. But I definitely love steak and appreciate great steak restaurants. But for me, I'll just go, people say that we have really good restaurants, but I don't know if they're local people who say that or so much national. But I do believe that they're like St. Elmo's. There are those that we are known for in various parts. So good.
And my wife and I have traveled.
Yeah.
And there's one thing we say is, man, if we're going to get a steak, it's better to go home because there's this great steak here. So
that's fair.
That's one of mine.
Well, next on my list is easy travel.
Oh, that was one of mine. I want to see if you say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because this one I got some
my take on easy travel is Indianapolis called the Circle City for a reason. Because you have 465, which is essentially a donut around the city of Indianapolis. And I can get from the south side of Indy to the north side of Indy in about 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, there is construction, and that is one of the things that local people complain about a lot. But it is very easy to get around Indianapolis. And we don't have other modes of transit. Like there's no train system. We do have a bus system, but it's, I'm going
to throw 2 cents on that. They're ruining the ease of travel in the city of Indianapolis for a bus system that people don't use. Taking dual and 4-lane highways, taking a lane away from cars, giving one to bicycles and one to the bus and one back to the cars, and now you have a line of cars that you didn't have before.
It's interesting you say that because I was literally driving downtown today, and literally the heart of the city.
What the heck are they doing?
There's a bus lane that you can't drive in with your car. And on the right side is either a bike lane or eventually becomes a turn lane at the next stoplight. So you're screwed if you're in that lane. So where there are normally maybe 3 lanes to be able to travel north or south, you get 1.
You were on Washington Street almost to Meridian.
I was on Meridian Street.
Oh, you're on Meridian, so you're
right.
Yeah.
So
crazy. We have a rush minute, not a rush hour.
Exactly. And that's, I grew up south of Chicago. I always knew, and granted I wasn't a big Chicago goer because I only lived there until I was 18. So, it was only 2 years worth of driving, right? And being that young of a driver, I was always worried about driving in Chicago on the highways. But, there's rush hour in Chicago. And I know that when I travel through Chicago to avoid essentially the 4 to 6 o'clock time span, if not more, right? But here in Indianapolis, yes, we do have times of day where travel might not be great, but it's not bad.
Nobody has a 2-hour commute in the city like they do in Chicago.
No, absolutely not. And so, and even getting around downtown, we do have a few one-way streets, so you do have to pay attention as opposed to Chicago, and I'm going to keep using that as my example. But there are so many one-way streets, it's like, where am I?
Right. I one-wayed all the way out of the area I wanted to be in.
Right. It is so easy to get lost there.
Yep.
And Indianapolis is just easy for travel to get around. And then on the outside of the city, you have 65, you have I-70, you have I-74. There are many highways.
69.
There's,
And you now have,
I now have,
once that's open on your
I-69
side
right
of
there.
town, it's going to make everything so much easier.
And it already has. It's
Yeah.
been under construction, but it's already made it easier. And I totally appreciate that. There are people on my side of town who complain about it, but honestly, I'm looking at it going, this is going to make my life so much easier.
Right. Well, I'm going to piggyback off your travel. Right. You have more of that?
No, that was good.
Okay, so my travel's a little different than your travel.
Okay.
Indianapolis is great for another reason, is that you can wake up and go, let's go to another one of the greatest cities in America. Let's drive 4 hours to Nashville.
That is on my list.
Let's drive 3 hours to St. Louis. Let's drive 3 hours to Chicago and take 2 more hours to get downtown. You can be in Columbus. If there's a ball game in Columbus you want to go to, you're there in 4 hours. You could be in Cincinnati in 2 hours. You can go down there and watch a game. You go to Louisville and watch the Kentucky Derby in 2 hours. You can go to Lexington and watch the Breeders' Cup, or go to Keeman and see some great, another great rivalry basketball team. If you want to go watch the Wildcats beat the Hoosiers, you can go see it there in Lexington. So, and really, honestly, you could go to Detroit.
Oh yeah.
If you want to go up there and get shot, it's only a 4 hour drive.
Or see the Lions.
You can see the Lions, which I think are fantastic this year.
Definitely.
But and actually, there's a lot of really cool stuff in Detroit. So I dog on it. I have a lot of friends in Detroit. Hey,
never
friends
been
from Michigan. Really? Seriously?
Seriously.
Great city. And so when you look at where we are centrally located and how quick you can get to a great city and go watch, some, not only the great sports that are here, but great sports just outside of here, and iconic events. Like we talked about, the Indianapolis 500 is an iconic event.
Yep.
The Kentucky Derby it's a bucket list event for many, many people, and Correct. It's very cool to go to. So if you think about that, I have a lot of friends that are like, you go to Nashville all the time. And it's like, it's only 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
In the motorhome, it's 4.5 hours. I mean, if you speed and drive a fast car, you get there a lot quicker.
4.
There you go. So yeah, that's enough. That was the travel I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Is even though there's a lot of great things here, we're so close to really the rest of the great stuff in the Midwest. So that was mine on the bottom.
Next on my list is proximity to big cities. So very similar, and I'll piggyback on top of that. A flight from here to some other major places that would be a longer drive isn't that bad. Like you can be to Orlando in about 2 to 2.5 hours.
Is it a direct flight to Orlando?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, totally possible, depending on your airline, of course.
But there's a lot of places you can't direct fly to out of Indy, which is
that is correct.
I didn't know. I haven't flown to Orlando.
It is possible. So there's that. You could fly to D.C. You could fly to New York in about 2 hours.
You could fly to Atlanta.
You could fly to Atlanta. It's a major hub. I mean, busiest airport in the world. So you could get to Chicago by plane in about 40 minutes. It takes you longer to check in at the airport than it does to actually sit on the plane and get there.
It really does.
It's
a flight that goes.
No, it's good. I've laughed because I've made that flight a couple of times, not by choice, because it's usually like a stopover.
Right, it's a layover at the next place.
But it's like they're offering you a beverage.
Yeah,
they hand it to you. They put their stuff away. They come back and pick up the trash.
You haven't even drank it yet.
It's so quick. It's like, I'm not even done. But yeah, I mean, getting there and, so as far as proximity to big cities, it's not just driving distance. And honestly, a drive from here, I've driven out to DC. It takes about 9-10 hours, whatever. Maybe 12. Whatever. But it's not terrible.
No, good location.
I mean, we're called the Crossroads of America for a reason, because
it's not just because they take meth through here.
That may be. I don't think that was part of it when they came up with that. When they put out a license plate.
Senor, we should take it to the Crossroads of America.
All right, what else you got?
So the other thing I have is the fact that we still have incredibly low housing compared to other cities, especially our sized cities. Yeah. We have really low property taxes compared to other states. I do loans in Michigan, and loans in Michigan, that state's property taxes are 3 times what our property taxes are.
Really?
Yeah, and they do it differently, right? Wow. So this is going to be weird for some people, but we pay taxes in the rears in Indiana, meaning
it's actually arrears. That's its own
Arrears.
word.
I say things
But
wrong all the
in
time.
the rears, that's fine.
In arrears. Is that you, teacher? So we pay it backwards.
Yes.
Right? The reason we pay it backwards,
Wait,
you know?
Explain, first of all.
So in 2023, the taxes you're going to pay in 2024 are going to be for the person who lived there in 2023.
There you go.
And the year behind. Do you know why we do that?
You did explain it to me before. I don't recall.
Because of the Great Depression, the governor decided to stop property taxes because people were going to get behind because they didn't have money. So they said, look, we'll just we'll suspend property taxes this year. And the next year, instead of making people pay twice, they just said, look, you're going to pay last year's taxes this year.
Okay.
So then we were in arrears.
So whoever the governor was back in the 20s
probably
was looking out for the people.
Probably a Republican. But so when they made those changes.
In Indiana, yes.
So it stayed like that forever. But in Michigan, it's the opposite. You pay taxes in the forwards.
What?
Yeah. So in Indiana, you get a big tax credit. In Michigan, the seller gets a credit. The buyer has to bring their taxes to close.
Wow.
So not only is their $200,000 house have $5,000 in property tax, buyers bring an extra $5,000 to close. And a lot of people ask me, why do sales concessions go up to 6%? Because how many times on an FHA loan do you need 6% closing cost? In Michigan, you do.
Wow.
Yeah, so Florida's year to year. You pay in the same year. So there's no prorated tax credit.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's the way it should be. But honestly, for buyers in Indiana, it makes it easier because you come up with less money because you get the great credit at close. Yeah. So we have this really strong economic growth. Even though I may not always agree with the governor that we have and some of the policies he's had over the last 4 years, one thing we can say about Indiana is they've maintained a corporate tax base and a lot of benefits for companies to move here. And really just one mile literally from my house directly across a cornfield and one road is the single largest warehouse in the United States. It's a 4 million square foot building built by Walmart. And it's their whole start to really trying to take on Amazon and delivering products to people's homes in the same day. And that warehouse, it's not open completely yet. It's going to employ over 2,000 people.
Wow.
And if you look at the warehouses that are around here and how much Amazon have moved distribution centers to Indianapolis because of our travel and because of our proximity to cities, you have the south side of Indianapolis in Greenwood, Whitestown, there's Whiteland. You have a huge amount of Amazon warehouses. You go to Air West, which is Plainfield side of Indianapolis, the west side, you have huge distribution centers for Amazon. I have two of them within 2 miles of my house here on the east side. You go to Whitestown, which is the north side of Indianapolis, north of Zionsville. You have one of the largest Amazon warehouses in the Midwest. So what's happened is we've really brought a logistics-built area, logistics businesses to our area because of our proximity to these cities and really stimulated a lot of economic growth for logistics and internet retail. And it makes our city kind of stand apart of a lot of other cities in the Midwest. So that economic growth.
That goes along with being Crossroads of America. I know you
absolutely
can't hit that. I mean, the ease of which travel can happen from those warehouse hubs and get to major highways and 4 or 5 that are here is huge. And our airport is considered one of the best in the nation.
Especially the FedEx side of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, FedEx has one of the largest hubs in America sitting right here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And then, again, we talked about Louisville and being 2 hours away. I mean, there's the headquarters for UPS and one of the largest UPS hubs in the United States. So it all makes sense. Low-cost housing, low property tax, really strong economic growth, lots of businesses still moving here all the time. And we've really stimulated also the biosciences have grown here as well with Eli Lilly being such a strong pull, Beckman Coulter, Danaher, companies like that are here. But yeah, when you look at Eli Lilly being headquartered here, with the huge facility they're building in just north of Lebanon, just south of Thorntown, which
that's
is
theirs.
It's that's going to be a massive park for bioscience, and you've got one of the largest Eli Lilly facilities, like a gigafactory that they're building there.
Man.
So you look at that growth, you look at the economic growth, and the fact that you still can buy, a 4,500 square foot home on a half-acre lot for $350,000, $400,000. You can still buy really great prices. In our clip that we posted on Facebook the other day, was the one where we were talking about homes being at $350,000.
Right.
A person we go to Cabo with that lives out in San Francisco, she posted on it, a $350,000 house here is a piece of garbage. We're like, well, everything in San Francisco is a piece of garbage right now, but Indianapolis is still a great home. Not that we don't have $8 and $10 and $12 million homes, because we do.
Yep.
And there's actually more of them than a lot of people really know. I mean, there's a lot of really mega homes and beautiful properties, but the difference between a mega home here is our home may be a $12 million house here, where it's a $25 million house, area in Florida.
Right.
So great housing, great economic growth here.
Well, I'll say one of the items in my list is very similar to that. As you say, cost of living here, and in relation to what we do for our careers is obviously real estate. One of my friends works out in California, and
is he moving here yet?
He is not. And I said, dude, you need to move out here. He's like, nah, I can't do that. Right. And to talk about, like, I just got a house under contract with a client that is 750 square feet. It's a 2-bedroom house, and it cost $120,000, and it was renovated on the inside. It's a decent looking house. To think about what that could be in California, that could literally be a $800 to $1 million
that's
house.
$700,000 in Riverside, trashed.
Yep.
Well, I got another one for you.
All right, it should be down your last one.
I probably added 6.
Oh, I said 5. So pick one.
I've never listened to a teacher before, and I'm not going to frickin' start now.
Well, you weren't good at math, so
wasn't good at school.
Maybe it was.
I wasn't good at school.
Maybe it was just you had trouble with 5 or 6. I'm sorry. Go on. What's your next one?
I wasn't good at math. Just go. Trails, parks.
Ooh.
So when you look at Indianapolis and what not only the Parks Department of Indianapolis, but Hamilton County, Johnson County, our donut counties, they've really participated in creating what they call rail to trails. So a lot of old railroad tracks have turned into trails. You look at the Monon Trail, which really spans from north of Indianapolis, from downtown Indianapolis all the way through Hamilton County, and it continues to stretch further and further north.
It in and of itself is a benefit of Indianapolis.
It really is.
Walking, biking, running. I mean,
it's now attached to the Cultural Trail, which really covers multiple miles through downtown Indianapolis. East side, west side. You can actually jump off the Cultural Trail onto the west side trails, go all the way past the museums out at 30th and where Marion University is.
Yep.
Butler Tarkington area. Yeah. I mean, there's trails everywhere. We have a state park right in the city called Fort Ben. It was part of a military base, Fort Benjamin Harrison, which is a president that's from Indianapolis, right?
Yeah, very good.
Checking my history. But that's a great state park. And then, you wouldn't even think about it, but Indianapolis has some great mountain bike trails.
I would not think
so. We have a great program. The Hoosier Mountain Bike Association has put together great trails in the Fort Bend State Park. There's almost 12 miles of trails there.
Cool.
There's 7 miles of mountain biking trails at a trail called Town Run. That's a park that's just mountain biking specific. There's a park on the south side. They've got Southwest Way Park.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 12 miles of trails there. Within an hour, you can drive to Brown County, and you can ride in what they call an epic park. It's where the Mountain Biking Association of the United States has picked it as one of the top 10 places to mountain bike in the United States.
Impressive.
100 miles of trail. It's absolutely amazing. So there's a sport that people would even think about being in. There's only corn in Indiana and we're flat. Some great trails, but great walking trails, biking trails, mountain bike trails. Some great parks. We have Eagle Creek. Eagle Creek's a city park, not a state park on the west side, but it's an amazing, huge park. There's a lot of culture in our city, and there's a lot of places to really enjoy the city that aren't necessarily maybe going to a sporting event or a steakhouse or a race, but just being out in nature.
Good answer. To be honest, I'm not much of a nature guy. I'm okay with hiking, but I don't look to go hiking. I don't own a bike. I'm perfectly fine riding a bike, but I don't go biking. But that's a great answer. And I did kind of consider that. I was like, we have a pretty solid park scene in Indianapolis and surrounding areas. I hate to just focus this on
Maybe I bike to the steakhouses too much. That's why I'm fat, and I don't know what you're doing to stay skinny, but
not biking.
I guess I should be tall.
Right. All right. So, and I will say last on my list because it was supposed to be 5. And shout out to my friend.
Did you have more than 5?
No.
Did I have more than 5?
You said you had one more.
I thought I had 6.
Right. Well, here we go. So shout out to my friend Bill, who grew up in Greenfield.
Hey, Bill.
And I grew up in Illinois, as we've established. So I had trouble narrowing it down to a 5th one, and so I wanted someone else's perspective.
Is it corn?
It is not. That's funny, because when people who are outside of Indiana might think of Indiana, think of corn, but I never think of Indiana and corn, ever. But anyway.
We're a huge corn state.
I know.
And we have there's cornfields everywhere.
I'm well aware, but it just doesn't come to mind. But
I mean, we have an amusement park where their whole theme of the amusement there's more than corn in Indiana.
And I've been to that.
Hey, that's just like a Ferris wheel.
You ever been there?
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
No, it's.
Everybody says, I can't wait to summer on the lake in Monticello.
It's essentially the state fair at a permanent location.
Yeah, if you're going to go to an amusement park in Indiana, you got to go down south to Santa Claus, Indiana, and go to Holiday World.
Yeah.
Some of the best roller coasters in the United States.
And in my opinion, one of the best water parks in the nation.
Yeah.
It is so good. So that's not on my list.
That's off the chute there.
Okay, so my answer, again, thanks to Bill, walkability. So to go to Indianapolis, and one of the reasons that sports events are drawn here is how easy it is to get around downtown, that you never either have to go outside or you don't really need a car. We have lots of tunnels, whether it's the gerbil tunnels over the top of the street or those that go underground. You can, in the cold weather months, you can get to a lot of places downtown that you want to be at, like Lucas Oil Stadium, the convention center, things like that.
Makes us one of the top convention cities in the United States.
For sure, because of that. But outside of that, Mass Ave, to me, is a big deal in Indianapolis. For those who like to go out to bars and visit some of our fine, cool restaurants, unique locations.
Bottle Works.
Bottle Works. Mass Ave is a great place when you come to Indianapolis if you're looking for something to do. To go out to hear some live music in places, which is great. To visit some cool bars.
I have a funny that I can't share with it.
To hit up some cool restaurants. That is the place to be, and it's easy to walk.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's some great restaurants down there. Just great food.
Right. So yeah, I'll say walkability as.
In Chicago, they call that muggability.
Unfortunately,
that is the thing. It's really safe downtown Indianapolis. You really don't have to think, don't go to that area.
Do we have crime? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every major city does.
Highest that we've had in years.
Right.
I mean, if you our murder rate's off the chart for per capita and how much it's grown over the years, but it doesn't happen in those areas downtown for the most part. It's pretty safe to go walk around into the streets.
I'll say Broad Ripple is another good location for like going out and having an entertaining night of
22
of more clubs and bars. And you're right. We're not just talking to the 50-year-olds like us. We're talking to whomever's watching.
You think we got 20-somethings watching this?
Maybe. My daughter could be watching.
Okay.
Perhaps. Hi, Alex. So yeah, walkability. There you go.
Oh, you mean end it now?
I do.
Okay, we're going to end the show because this is going to be a long one, and
it is.
We appreciate you watching. Comment, share. If you've got something that you've got that's not on our list that we didn't think of, right? And you're like, man, they have great whatever it is. Put it in the comments, and maybe someone will come and see that part of the city. But thanks for watching. I know we kind of drag on and talk all the time, and it's really fun. And
cheers, brother.
We love it. Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Good hanging with you.
Good hanging with you as well.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment. We'll see you next time.